The look in my sister's eyes during our video call was all wrong. That's why I was on an Amtrak first thing this morning, heading to see her. I'd already put up with someone on the train trying to steal my seat. I'd endured the guy who took his socks off, fumigating the car. I even looked the other way when someone spat on the floor. But then, a news alert popped up on my phone, a story about my sister being sexually assaulted by some old creep. I calmly put away the banana I was eating and polished my fruit knife until it gleamed. Hey guys, faded shorts and a graphic tee, your girl Alex is just that cool. Okay, back to the story. I can usually tell the difference now. I know the glowing tentacles are just hallucinations. The dark figures crawling on my walls at night aren't real. And no, aliens are not using a microwave to control my brain. I have my sister, Chloe, to thank for all of this. She's the one working 3 jobs in the city just to cover my hospital bills. Last night, when we video chatted, her eyes were as red as if they'd been soaked in pepper spray, but she claimed some sand had just gotten in them. Her acting was terrible. My mind might be a little scrambled, but I'm not a complete idiot. I quietly ended the call, folded my discharge request form into a paper airplane, and packed my bags that night. First thing the next morning, I was at the train station. The dense crowd at the station made my heart pound. The announcer's voice over the loudspeaker felt like it was screaming directly into my ear. I took deep, steadying breaths, trying to calm the anxiety and restlessness churning inside me. I pulled out my phone and opened a meditation app, tapping the screen and chanting a mantra. Don't argue with idiots. Don't argue with idiots. After a few repetitions, it felt a little off, but I couldn't figure out why. Whatever. The universe is a forgiving place. It wouldn't hold it against me. Finally, on the train, I quickly retreated to my window seat, put on my headphones, and closed my eyes, feigning sleep. It made me feel safer. My heartbeat gradually returned to normal. Good job, I told myself. Can you move? Before I could even process it, a rough-looking young man slapped my shoulder hard. Hey, did you hear me? I took off my headphones and flashed a social smile I'd practiced for ages. Sorry, that's not going to work for me. As I was about to put my headphones back in, my ears were assaulted by a strangely whiny, high-pitched voice. It was the girl with the ugly guy. Excuse me? I want to sit with my boyfriend. I nodded. Okay, then you two should sit together. So you'll switch seats with us? I shook my head. Nope. The girl muttered psycho under her breath. You have no idea. I thought to myself. In the end, I don't know how the seats got switched, but I ended up next to a middle-aged man. The obnoxious guy from the couple sat directly behind me, his girlfriend now happily beside him. At first, everything was normal, but after the train had been moving for a while, the guy behind me started kicking the back of my seat. I pulled out my meditation app again. Don't argue with idiots. Don't argue with idiots. Don't argue with idiots. The middle-aged man next to me shot me a disgusted look and turned up the volume on the movie he was watching on his phone. I tried to reassure myself. It's fine. Just think of it as a massage chair. Grandma Rose at the psychiatric center once told me that people on the outside are mean. It's better to keep your head down. We're patients. We need to maintain a positive attitude and know how to protect ourselves. Maybe my positive attitude worked, because after a while, the kicking stopped. I patted my racing heart. The world can be a beautiful place, but my moment of peace didn't last 2 minutes. A smell like old cheese and sweaty socks drilled into my nostrils. I looked up to see the guy behind me had taken off his socks and was dangling his bare feet over the top of my seat. I fought back my nausea and stood up. Could you please put your feet down? The guy smirked. They're my feet. I'll put them wherever I want. What are you gonna do about it? After a moment's thought, I decided he had a point. So, I sat back down. The volume from the man's movie next to me grew louder. Even with my headphones on, I was forced to listen to the dialogue. It seemed to be a war movie, filled with the sounds of explosions. Kill those sons of bitches. Hearing this, the middle-aged man seemed to have a visceral reaction. Hawk, tui. He spat a thick wad of phlegm right next to my foot, barely missing my shoe. Okay, don't argue with idiots. Don't argue with idiots. Don't argue with idiots. No, this isn't working. I needed a distraction. I opened up TikTok to watch something wholesome. The first video I saw was enough to blow the mind of even a certified crazy person like me. 82-year-old landlord assaults 30-year-old woman, avoids arrest due to age. I was just planning to watch some drama, but the more I watched, the more my blood boiled. My nerves began to buzz with a frantic energy, and my hands started to shake uncontrollably. Because the woman being assaulted in the video was my sister, I knew I was about to have an episode. Everything in the train car suddenly transformed. That foot dangling above my head was no longer a foot. It was a chicken. Dr. Lee always said, even when you have an episode, you can't kill people, you have to control yourself. But right now, I couldn't control the rage storming inside me. I can't kill a person, but killing a chicken should be fine, right? I swiftly pulled the silver hairpin, which I had sharpened to a fine point, from my hair and plunged it fiercely into the chicken. A blood-curdling scream echoed through the entire car. The sudden shriek shocked everyone and jolted me back to some semblance of sanity. Turns out, I'd stabbed the guy's foot. When he came to his senses, the guy started yelling, "Security, help me!" The middle-aged man next to me, who had been watching me with an amused expression, looked at the hairpin in my hand, now beaded with blood, and remained surprisingly calm. He looked like he was waiting for security to haul me away. What a great attitude. If I had that kind of composure, I probably wouldn't be mentally ill. Fucking psycho. Go to hell. Disgusting. Shameless. Where was that voice coming from? My eyes darted around, searching. It turned out several mouths had sprouted on the neck of the middle-aged man, and they were all babbling at me. So loud, so annoying. I clutched the hairpin tighter, desperately wanting to stab those talking mouths shut. But I couldn't. I can't kill people. Reason and the impulse to destroy everything tore me apart. Like a drowning person grasping for a piece of driftwood, I dialed my psychiatrist's number. On the verge of a complete breakdown, I didn't care anymore. I put the phone on speaker. Dr. Lee, I can't take it anymore. I want to kill a chicken. There are so many chickens on the train, clucking in my ear. Is it because I haven't taken my meds today? Dr. Lee, are they chickens or people? The car fell silent. It seemed like everyone was straining to hear the answer from the other end of the line. Dr. Lee was silent for a moment. Ava, why did you run away from the psychiatric center? The unexpected question silenced me too. Ava, do you realize you have a severe case of schizophrenia with strong aggressive and destructive tendencies? You killed someone last time and hid the body in the walls of our room. Have you forgotten? Wait, what? I don't remember that. And Dr. Lee is a woman. Why is a man's voice on the phone? I was about to argue when the previously calm middle-aged man shakily turned off his movie. He shot me a cautious glance, forced a smile, and slowly got up as if to leave. Seeing the glob of phlegm by my foot, I felt the urge to vomit again. Ugh, the middle-aged man's knees buckled, and he dropped to the floor. Trembling, he pulled a few pink tissues from his pocket, slapped one over the green mess, and snatched it up in one swift motion. My slow brain finally realized the person on the phone was my fellow patient. Leo, put Dr. Lee on the phone, quick, I'm losing control. Tell her I really want to kill a chicken. While waiting for Dr. Lee, I fumbled through my bag for my medicine. My hands were shaking so violently it took forever to open the bottle. The obnoxious guy's girlfriend's shrill voice pierced my ears again. I've seen it all now. People faking being crazy to get out of paying for what they did. Let me tell you, it's not going to work. My hand slipped. Clatter. The entire bottle of little white pills scattered across the floor. A collective gasp went through the car. The middle-aged man hissed at the girlfriend. Why did you have to provoke her? Finally, Dr. Lee got on the phone just as security arrived. The transit officer first checked my psychiatric documentation and the medication I was carrying, then took the phone to talk to Dr. Lee. So, this Ms. Ava Taylor does in fact suffer from schizophrenia? Dr. Lee's voice came from the phone. Ava has been recovering very well and hasn't had an episode in a long time. It would take something quite extreme to trigger her, but when she does have an episode, she really likes to kill. At this point, the officer quickly switched off the speaker and held the phone to his ear. The car became eerily quiet. The obnoxious guy's leg was shaking like a sewing machine needle. His girlfriend's face was chalk white. After a few more words, the officer looked at me with a complicated expression, then glanced at the couple and hung up. A flight attendant brought me a bottle of water and the pills she had picked up for me. I immediately downed a handful. The officer told the attendant to give the guy a band-aid. This started with you. It looks like just a surface wound on your foot. Put a band-aid on it. If you want to press charges. The guy waved his hands frantically. A surface wound. A surface wound. And no, I'm not pressing charges. I'm not. Excuse me, How much longer until the next stop? For the rest of the trip, the car was dead silent. The seats in front of and behind me were empty. The flight attendant checked on me multiple times, asking if I needed anything. I felt like my mental health had actually improved a bit today. Just after getting off the train, I got a call from Leo. Leo was my best friend at the psych center. My second best friend was Grandma Rose, who was Leo's actual grandmother. They had a family history of mental illness. Ava, you snuck out to have fun without telling me. I'm not having fun, I retorted. Some jerk hurt my sister. I'm going to get revenge. Leo's tone turned uncharacteristically serious. Ava, you're the prized patient of Clearwater Psychiatric. Revenge is not something you should handle yourself. Send me your location on WhatsApp. We'll be there soon. And remember, wait for us before you do anything. You're too inexperienced. You don't understand the rules of the outside world. It's easy for people to see through you. See through what? What identity? I asked, confused. Shoo, can't say more over the phone. Big brother is listening. We'll talk when we meet. By evening, Leo and Grandma Rose had met up with me. I took them both to Chloe's apartment. Knock, knock, knock. I knocked on my sister's door. I could hear some noise inside, but it stopped the moment I knocked. Knock, knock, knock. I knocked again. Suddenly, a strained voice yelled from inside. I told you, I'm not giving any interviews. If you don't leave, I'm calling the police. Chloe, it's me, I shouted back. The door flew open. I had never seen my sister like this. Her hair was a mess, her face was pale, and her lips were colorless. When she saw me, her bloodshot eyes filled with tears she fought to hold back as she forced a smile. Ava, Chloe let the three of us in. The living room floor was covered with several packed boxes. I looked at them. Chloe, are you moving? Yeah, it's a big deal. Why isn't Ethan here to help? Ethan was her boyfriend. Chloe's expression darkened even more. We had a fight a few days ago. He broke up with me. That bastard. I knew it. It was because the story of Chloe being assaulted had blown up online, and he couldn't handle it. I never liked him from the start. He was always bragging about being a rich kid, but he made my sister pay for everything. Even a psycho like me could see he was no good, but Chloe was blind to it. See? It's better to be crazy than to be love drunk. Now, when my sister was hurting so much, not only was he not there for her, he broke up with her. I wanted to kill someone again, not just a chicken this time. For some reason, my brain felt brand new today, working better than ever. I suddenly remembered that Ethan had also borrowed money from Chloe. Scamming my sister's heart was one thing, but scamming her money was another. I asked quickly, did he pay you back the $15,000 he borrowed? That 15 grand was all the money my sister had saved from over a decade of work. Chloe shook her head numbly. He said he doesn't have it right now, that he'll pay me back in a few years. I shot Leo a look. He understood immediately, took out a small notebook, and wrote down Ethan's name. Add him to the list. We'll take care of them all at once. Hee hee. The next morning, our revenge squad decided to escort Chloe to work first. Since the video of my sister was all over the internet, and although most people were supportive, there were always a few trolls with minds more twisted than a real psycho's, leaving comments like, she was probably asking for it, or that 82-year-old perv wouldn't do that for no reason, or she's just posting this for attention. I didn't want Chloe to face any more attacks in person. I had to protect her. After a short wait, the elevator stopped on the 28th floor. It was already crowded. As the doors opened, several hostile glares shot toward my sister. Chloe ducked her head in panic, pulling her baseball cap down and her mask up. Great. Her mask was practically an eye mask now. I took her hand and squeezed it. Don't be afraid, Chloe. Leo and Grandma Rose stood behind us like a fortress, shielding us from the unfriendly eyes in the elevator. As the elevator descended, Chloe's tense body gradually relaxed. But, for some reason, some old hens just can't stand a peaceful day. These days, some women from out of town have no shame. I heard she filmed that video to threaten him so she wouldn't have to pay rent. So shameless. Exactly. We've known Mr. Henderson from upstairs for years. He's so good to his wife. He would never do something like that. I turned to look. Two women, probably in their 60s, were talking loudly in the corner of the elevator. I have to have an episode this early in the morning? So tiring. Grandma Rose sighed, seemingly sharing my sentiment. Why do they have to force me to perform so early? She patted my shoulder. Sweetie, I'm older. Let me go first. Respect your elders. Even having a psychotic episode was competitive these days. Smack, smack. Grandma Rose landed 2 solid slaps on the 2 gossiping old women. You 2 bitches. How dare you show your faces in front of me, seducing my 90-year-old husband just because you're younger. Grandma Rose then plopped down on the floor, slapping her thighs. Oh, the injustice. This is a travesty. No decency left in the world. Look at these 2 hussies, seducing my husband and then taunting me in the elevator. Everyone in the elevator was stunned. The 2 slapped women, clearly not expecting this, frantically tried to explain themselves. But Grandma Rose wasn't about to give them the chance. She lunged forward with another couple of punches. The 2 gossips finally snapped out of it and tried to fight back. Leo quickly stepped forward and pulled out a medical file from his pocket, a very thick one. Ladies, I have no problem with you hitting my grandma, but before you do, let me be clear. My grandma is 80 years old, and her psychiatric record is older than I am. If you 2 hurt her in any way, she'll be moving in with you. After his speech, Leo crossed his arms, looking like he couldn't care less what they did. Grandma Rose sneered. Grandson, stop pretending to be normal. You've been a schizophrenic for 20 years yourself. The rest of the way down to the first floor, the only sound in the elevator was Grandma Rose's theatrical wailing. Even a big guy smoking in the corner silently stubbed out his cigarette and cowered. After dropping Chloe off at her company, our revenge squad officially began its mission. After carefully probing Chloe for information and piecing together scraps from the internet, we learned that the 82-year-old pervert was named William Henderson and lived in the apartment right above Chloe's. He was her landlord. He had used his status as a landlord to enter her apartment several times. At first, he just made inappropriate advances, and Chloe reported him to the police. But without concrete evidence, the police couldn't file a case. Later, Chloe steeled herself and installed a hidden camera to get proof, but because of Henderson's advanced age of 82, he faced no real consequences. Plus, this Henderson was a repeat offender. He had been reported for harassing women on the subway multiple times, but always got off because of his age, which only made him more brazen. The 3 of us decided to stake out his building and follow the old creep. After a while, Leo and Grandma Rose started arguing over who should be the team leader. No matter how much I tried to mediate, they just wouldn't fight it out. Finally, Henderson emerged from the building, carrying a thermos, and sauntered off. We tailed him all the way to the subway. The subway was packed. In a moment of distraction, the 3 of us lost him. Just as we were cursing our luck, an indignant male voice erupted from the next car. Don't you dare accuse me. I'm an old man. How could I possibly touch you on purpose? Oh, you falsely accused me. And now my heart is acting up. Help, I need a doctor. I'm 82 years old, and I have to be framed by a woman like you. What terrible luck. By the time we pushed through the crowd, we saw Henderson lying on the floor, wailing like a common thug. Standing beside his body was a young mother with a stroller. Her eyes were red and brimming with tears, a mix of hurt and bewilderment on her face. The little girl in the stroller, about 2 or 3 years old with 2 little pigtails, had her lip trembling, looking like she was about to cry from fright. The young mother quickly forced a smile, picked up her baby, and patted her back soothingly. It's okay, baby, mommy's here. The baby in her arms, seeming to sense her mother's distress, immediately wrapped her arms around her mother's neck and murmured softly, Mommy, don't cry, Mommy, don't cry. The people around them looked on with indifference. No one dared to say a word. After all, if an ordinary person got tangled up with an 82-year-old pervert, it could ruin their peaceful life. Luckily, we weren't ordinary people. We were psychos. We weren't afraid. We had no FS to give. Leo gave Grandma Rose a look. She nodded in understanding. Make way. My grandma was a doctor back in the 80s. She knows how to treat people. The crowd immediately parted. Grandma Rose rushed over to Henderson and delivered about 18 hard slaps across his face. Wake up. Wake up. The old pervert and the surrounding crowd were stunned. After the slaps, Grandma Rose started performing CPR on him. Thump, thump, thump. A few hard presses nearly blew out Henderson's pacemaker. Henderson struggled to sit up, but Grandma Rose, who could eat 8 bowls of rice a day, easily pushed him back down every time he tried. Now he was genuinely screaming for help. The onlookers all pulled out their phones, not to call the police, of course, but to record the spectacle for TikTok. He's a pervert. A clear female voice cut through the chaos. A high school girl in a school uniform stood up from her seat. She held up her phone and played a video. The video clearly showed Henderson pressing up against the young mother, not only touching her but several times but also grinding his lower body against her. The young mother, initially concerned about her baby in the stroller, had tried to move away, but Henderson, seeming to notice her hesitation, followed her again. The young mother, unable to bear it any longer, had finally shouted at him. After being exposed, Henderson had acted even more aggrieved than the young mother, throwing himself on the subway floor and wailing, "He harassed me on this very subway once before. That's why I started recording when I saw him today." She looked at the young mother. "If you want to report him, I can send you the video. If you need a witness, I can ask my teacher for time off school." Henderson, lying on the floor, showed no fear at the mention of the police. He looked the high school girl up and down with a lecherous gaze. "I'll remember you, little sister." Then he looked at Grandma Rose. "You all better call the police. Get this crazy old woman arrested." Grandma Rose, still straddling Henderson, said, "And do you remember me? I'm your daddy. Now, say it." Henderson clamped his jaw shut. Smack, smack, smack. Grandma Rose slapped him a dozen more times, knocking his dentures out. "Are you gonna say it? Huh? Are you?" Henderson gasped for air, looking like he was about to die. "Daddy." The commotion finally attracted the subway staff, who called the police. Henderson looked furious. "You crazy old hag, you're going to jail." Grandma Rose looked completely unfazed. "I've got the invincible double buff, the 80-year-old buff and the psycho buff." Leo quickly showed Grandma Rose's medical records. Someone in the crowd started laughing, and soon, the whole car was filled with cheerful laughter. Some people even applauded. It seemed everyone was a little sick in the head. In the end, we all went to the police station. The young officer on duty was clearly familiar with Henderson, but he had never seen him beaten to a pulp like this before. He seemed to be in a good mood, but when he interrogated Henderson, he was very stern. "What happened? Why were you harassing people on the subway again?" Henderson said with a sob. "I really didn't mean to. I just bumped into her by accident." His tone shifted, and he pointed at Grandma Rose. "But this crazy old woman, without knowing what was going on, slapped me dozens of times." When the officer looked at Grandma Rose, her eyes suddenly went vacant, and she started muttering to herself. Her acting skills were truly worthy of the Senior Division Championship at Clearwater Psychiatric. Leo pulled out the thick medical file from his coat and spread it out on the young officer's desk. "Officer, my grandma's been mentally ill for decades. Today, she saw this old gentleman asking for help on the subway, and she thought she was saving him." Henderson slammed the table in anger. "He's lying. They did it on purpose. My heart feels really bad right now. I need to go to the hospital. I need to be admitted." Leo nodded like a bobblehead. "Then you should go to the hospital right away. We can all just go home." Henderson, hearing this, almost jumped out of his skin. "None of you are going anywhere. You have to pay for my hospital bills." Grandma Rose laughed at this. "Hospital bills? Can you eat those?" Leo also laughed. "My grandma has no property, no car, no savings, no cash. She's an 80-year-old woman who's been mentally ill for 30 years. How is she supposed to pay your hospital bills?" Henderson clutched his chest, pointing a finger at Leo. "Then you'll pay." Leo threw his hands up. "Oh, I might look normal, but I'm a psycho too. How about I give you some advice? You can go to the hospital for treatment first, and then sue me and my grandma later. But honestly, we have nothing to our names. I'd advise you not to waste your money on a lawyer." Henderson's eyes rolled back in his head, and he almost fainted. You're just being shameless." He looked at the officer with a wronged expression. "Officer Miller, look at these two. They must be faking being mentally ill." Officer Miller tapped the table. "They may be mentally ill, but the process he described is correct. If you have doubts about their mental state, you can go through the legal process to request an evaluation. If you're not feeling well, you should get to a hospital and not delay treatment." Henderson placed his last hope on me. A flicker of hope appeared in his eyes. "Are you friends with these two psychos? You're not a psycho too, are you?" I was shocked. I was practically invisible, and he could still see me? After leaving the police station, Henderson took a cab to the hospital himself. Our revenge squad went home to get some sleep. After all, we had a tough battle to fight that night. We slept until midnight. Then our revenge squad set out again. We decided to go straight to the source, Henderson's home. According to the intel Leo gathered today, Henderson's children had all moved abroad, and his wife had gone on a trip for a few days, so Henderson would be home alone tonight. Using a stiff wire, Leo picked the lock on Henderson's front door through the peephole. The three of us tiptoed into his room and stood silently at the head of his bed. Perhaps because his face was swollen like a pig's head, Henderson woke up in pain when he turned over. He rubbed his face and was about to go back to sleep when he suddenly saw three figures standing by his bed. What followed was Henderson screaming, contorting, crawling sinisterly on the floor, writhing, wriggling darkly, rolling, and thrashing violently. Finally, he wet himself in terror. After a friendly negotiation between our revenge squad and Henderson, he agreed to record a video apology with his face clearly visible. In the video, he would fully recount his harassment of several women, sincerely admit his mistakes, and solemnly apologize to the women he had assaulted. At the end of the video, holding his ID, he promised he would never do it again, or he would die a horrible death. Leo uploaded Henderson's video to his own TikTok account, and it quickly went viral with angry comments. Did you think that was the end? It was just the beginning. Grandma Rose and I held Henderson down while Leo took out a tattoo gun he had prepared earlier and tattooed 3 words on Henderson's face, sex offender. As we were leaving, Grandma Rose patted Henderson's cheek. If you don't behave, I'll cut it off. Henderson cowered in the corner of his bed, shaking like a leaf. We had just taken 2 steps out the door when Henderson was about to breathe a sigh of relief. Leo, as if remembering something, stopped. Grandma, what if he calls the police? Grandma Rose sneered. We'll do the same thing we did to Big Rooster. The moment he gets out, we'll kill him, chop him into pieces, and eat him. Big Rooster was a rooster we raised at the psych hospital. When I had an episode, I liked to kill chickens, and the 2 of them would follow behind me, chopping up the meat. Hearing this, Henderson fell to his knees. I won't call the police. Don't kill me. I'm begging you. That weekend, we started helping Chloe move. While packing up the apartment, we found 2 boxes of stuff belonging to Ethan. Chloe sent him a text asking him to come get them. He sent back an address and said he was too busy, telling her to mail them to him. His attitude made it clear he wanted to completely cut ties with my sister. Cutting ties was fine, but first, that scum had to cough up the money. Neither he nor Chloe were from this city. If too much time passed and he left town, we'd never find him again. Under the repeated insistence of the revenge squad, Chloe finally called the jerk. Ethan, since you want to break up, then you can transfer the $15,000 you borrowed from me to my account today. Ethan sounded extremely annoyed on the other end of the phone. Are you ever going to let it go? I told you, I don't have the money right now. I'll pay you back in a few years. Besides, when I borrowed the money, I told you to think of it as an investment in me, and investments have risks. If you call me again to bother me, I'm definitely not paying you back. Ethan, I can't believe you're this kind of person. Ethan sounded like he'd heard the funniest joke in the world. Me? You should be saying that about yourself. The video of you getting groped by an old man is all over the internet. Honestly, just hearing your voice makes me picture you being pawed by that 80-year-old perv. It's disgusting just thinking about it. Without waiting for Chloe to respond, Ethan hung up. Chloe quietly put down her phone and continued packing. No tears, no sadness. I didn't know how to comfort her. At that moment, my mind was consumed with one thought: how to slaughter that chicken. Ethan. Based on the address Ethan had sent, we staked him out for 3 days with no useful information. The building's security guard was starting to get suspicious of us. On the 4th day, Grandma Rose went to the wholesale market early in the morning, bought some fruit, and set up a stand at the entrance of Ethan's apartment complex as a cover. Good news, the security guard was no longer suspicious of us. Bad news, Ethan got off work at 6, but the fruit was sold out by 2. On the 5th day, Grandma Rose bought even more fruit and set up her stand again. Bad news, the people buying fruit surrounded us so completely that we couldn't see if Ethan had come back. Good news, Ethan walked right into our trap, holding hands with a young woman. The woman looked like she came from a good family, speaking in a soft, gentle voice. Ma'am, does this fruit have any pesticides on it? Nope. If you want pesticides, you can add them yourself when you get home. The young woman giggled. Haha, ma'am, you're so funny. Grandma Rose scratched her head, a bit confused. Ethan, however, got angry. He threw the fruit the young woman had picked back into the pile. Do you even know how to talk, old woman? Grandma Rose immediately went into actress mode. Oh, Young man, I'm so sorry, so sorry. I'm from the countryside. I don't speak well. Please don't mind me. I have a husband at home who's been paralyzed for decades. And my grandson is mentally ill and needs money. The surrounding crowd, hearing this, started to criticize Ethan for being so harsh. The young woman kept apologizing on Ethan's behalf and even added Grandma Rose on WhatsApp before leaving, saying she wanted to transfer some money to her. Not long after the young woman left, she sent Grandma Rose $200. Ma'am, this is just a small token. Please accept it. Grandma Rose didn't accept the money but started chatting with the young woman. A little bit about this, a little bit about that. Through this back and forth, we gradually pieced together a lot of information about Ethan from the young woman, whose name was Lily. She was a teacher and had met Ethan on a blind date. Ethan had recently quit his old job and passed the exam for a government position. He was still in his probationary period. We took the evidence of the loan to Ethan's new workplace, but Ethan wasn't scared of us at all and even had security kick us out. This completely enraged our revenge squad. That night, we broke into Ethan's apartment. Days of lying in wait had worn on my patience. Tonight, we would settle this. If we couldn't settle the matter, we would settle the person. Don't argue with idiots. Because Ethan was young and strong, to prevent him from overpowering us, we knocked him out with a club as soon as we got inside his house. We tied him to a chair and quietly waited for him to wake up. After a while, I got bored. I picked up a razor and shaved his head, eyebrows, and armpits. I was about to continue shaving downwards when he woke up. He was about to start screaming and writhing, but his mouth was stuffed with smelly socks, and he was tied securely to the chair. All he could do was make muffled mmph sounds and cry big, fat tears. So interesting. Psychos really should stick to direct action. All that scheming is so boring. I held up a mirror in front of Ethan. Seeing his near catatonic reflection, I asked, "Are you going to pay back the money?" Without a second's thought, Ethan nodded vigorously. After Ethan transferred the money and Chloe confirmed she had received it, I untied the ropes around Ethan's body. His hands and feet were still bound, so we weren't afraid of him trying anything. We filmed a video of him crawling on the floor like a dog. I showed him the picture of the tattoo on Henderson's face and patted his cheek. "If you dare call the police, you get it?" Ethan, kneeling on the floor, nodded frantically, snot and tears streaming down his face. "Please, let me go. I promise I won't call the police." As we were leaving Ethan's house, I felt a strange sensation in my body. I smiled at Leo and Grandma Rose. "Leo, Grandma Rose, I've made contact with my mother's ship. They're coming to pick me up soon." Leo and Grandma Rose nodded. "Yeah, have a safe trip. When we get back to our home planet, we'll take our spaceship to come visit you." Waving goodbye, I called my sister. "Chloe, it's possible that soon you won't even remember I existed, but I still have to say it, I love you." "Chloe, thank you for showing me how beautiful the word love can be." Chloe was a bit confused but still smiled and said, "Ava, your sister loves you too. Congratulations on completing your mission. Your performance has convinced over 1,000 audience members of your insanity. As a reward, you will be transported back to your original world." I smiled a victor's smile. Everything went black. My soul was peeled away, inch by inch. Suddenly, a feeling of weightlessness, like being sucked into a black hole. When I opened my eyes again, the white walls of a hospital and the pungent smell of disinfectant were strangely familiar. For a moment, I almost thought I was still at Clearwater Psychiatric, but then a person appeared before me, and I knew I was really back in this trashy, angsty romance novel. Adrian Cole, the male lead of this romance novel, the biggest CEO in the world, and I was the book's female lead, the one he tortured endlessly, the one who was supposed to have her liver and kidneys ripped out for his one true love. After he tortured me to death, he would have a sudden realization that he actually loved me all along. And that's how the book ended. After the grand finale, my soul was sucked into the world I just left, into the body of a mental patient named Ava. I'd been a psycho for 2 years, to the point where I started to wonder if everything in the book was just a figment of my imagination and I really was mentally ill. Now, I was back in the book. The female lead, Alexia. To him, it might have been just a day since he last saw me. For me, it had been almost 2 years. "Alexia, if you're awake, just sign the papers. It's been 2 years. Just donate the kidney to Nina." Hearing those words again was both strange and familiar. Good thing I wasn't the old Alexia anymore. Now, I was Empress Psycho Alexia, Mr. CEO. I hope the coming days don't disappoint you. I wonder how many kidneys a romance novel CEO has. Hee hee, don't argue with idiots. Epilogue 1. On the top floor of the hospital, in the director's office, stood a well-built man with a chiseled jaw. His face was grim, his dark eyes flashing with a cold light that was utterly chilling. What did you say? The director wiped the sweat from his brow. Mr. Cole, your wife, she's had a severe psychological break. She's developed a mental illness. As she is now legally declared mentally incompetent, she cannot legally consent to organ donation. Adrian tapped the desk. She's really mentally ill? The director nodded. We've run numerous tests and evaluations. We even brought in the nation's top specialists for consultation. The consensus is that your wife is, indeed, mentally ill. Ring, ring. Adrian's phone rang. It was bodyguard no. 1. Boss, bad news. The madam is keying people's cars. Adrian raised an eyebrow, a half-smile on his face. So she keyed a car, just pay them off. Adrian Cole, have plenty of money, boss. The madam keyed 100 Rolls-Royces, 100 Bentleys, 100 Lamborghinis, and 100. Before the bodyguard could finish, Adrian received a text from his bank. Mr. Cole, good afternoon. Your Swiss bank black card ending in 8888 has a new charge of $1 billion. Adrian's expression didn't change, but his words were ground out between clenched teeth. A mere $1 billion. 10 minutes later, ring, ring. It was a call from bodyguard no. 2. Boss, the madam is at the Red Cross again, making a donation. Adrian uncrossed his legs and sat up straight. How much did she donate? Bodyguard no. 2 asked cautiously. How much is in your account? Adrian sneered. $10 billion. Boss, the madam donated $20 billion. And she wrote an IOU for another $10 billion. Smash. Adrian's phone shattered against the wall. Epilogue 2. Adrian was speeding along a winding mountain road in his multi-million-dollar sports car. He had to catch this audacious woman today and teach her a lesson. He was in such a hurry that he didn't bring a single one of his 88 bodyguards. Bang! A black van shot out from a side road and slammed into Adrian's Bugatti, flipping it over. Several men in black emerged from the van, pulled the unconscious Adrian out, threw him into their vehicle, and sped off. Meanwhile, after drinking a bottle of water handed to me by a bodyguard, I also passed out. When I woke up again, I was sitting on the deck of a yacht. Adrian was tied up, kneeling across from me. A possessive, crazed voice came from behind me. Sister, I told you I would have you, no matter what. It was the book's obsessive second male lead, Julian. In the original story, Julian had also tried to kidnap Adrian but was thwarted by his 88 bodyguards. This time, because of me, he had actually succeeded. Julian's sick face looked at me as if I were a prized toy. Kiss me, sister. Adrian, kneeling on the deck, looked like his eyes were about to shoot fire, but his mouth was gagged, so he could only rage impotently. Julian licked the sharp blade of a dagger in his hand. Sister, if you don't kiss me, I'm going to chop off Adrian's fingers. Wow, crazier than me. I can't allow that. I snatched the dagger from Julian's hand, a bit of his shiny saliva still on it. A flicker of embarrassment crossed Julian's face. I walked over to Adrian and knelt down. My fingers danced over his 10 digits. Eeny, meeny, miny, mo. My finger landed on his thumb. Oh, looks like it's the thumb. Slice. Adrian's thumb was severed. The scene left everyone, including Julian, completely dumbfounded. After all, the original me was so in love with Adrian I was willing to give him my liver and kidneys. I wouldn't even let a single strand of his hair be harmed. I would have picked it up and treasured it. Adrian's face contorted in pain. Sweat, tears, and snot streamed down his face. Oh, I said, patting his cheek. Don't argue with idiots. Then, under Adrian's horrified gaze, I started chanting eeny, meeny, miny, mo again. My crazed display terrified Adrian. He threw himself with all his might against the 2 bodyguards holding him down and, with a whoosh, leaped into the sea, leaving me, Julian, and a deck full of stunned bodyguards staring at each other. A few days later, I successfully inherited all of Adrian's assets. As for Adrian, he was